Our webinar, 7 Steps to Make Your Practice or Business HIPAA Compliant. Step 1 is going to be to select someone from your office to be Privacy and Security Officer. That is the first thing that you should do. HIPAA has made it very clear that every office should have someone in place, a privacy and security officer who oversees the development, implementation, and the monitoring of privacy policies and ensures that they're in accordance with federal and state law. Now, the privacy officer should establish and implement new policies. They should also make sure that these policies are updated, and they should create the following documents: the Notice of Privacy Practices, HIPAA authorization forms, and the like. Training employees on privacy practices, and conducting a periodic internal HIPAA audit to ensure 100% compliance. In larger organizations, the privacy officer is one person, but in a smaller organization, the privacy officer could be, guess what, step 2, the security officer as well. The privacy and security officer can be the receptionist, the office manager, the doctor, the dentist. It really doesn't matter who you choose, but that person is going to be specifically responsible for making sure that they carry out these privacy and security aspects of HIPAA. In addition, the security officer has to make sure that administrative, technical, and physical safeguards are in place to protect PHI, and this includes virus protection, automatic patches, privacy screens, malware protection, IDS or intrusion detection systems, or IPS, intrusion prevention systems. That all falls under the responsibility of the security officer. So now that you know that you should select a privacy and security officer, a risk assessment must be done. And a risk assessment will help you to identify where PHI is stored, received, maintained, and transmitted. It will also identify and document potential threats and vulnerabilities. It assesses current security measures, whether the current security measures are used properly. And it will also determine the likelihood of a reasonable anticipated threat and determine whether or not the potential impact of a breach of PHI. So assigning risk levels to vulnerabilities, documenting the assessment is very important under HIPAA. Each vulnerability or risk should be assigned a risk level. By assigning this risk level, it will help you determine which risks and vulnerabilities need immediate attention and remediation. Now, risk assessments due to constantly changing technologies and threats should be reviewed periodically. Now, step 4, policies and procedures. Now that you have your risk assessment completed, now you have to do your policies and procedures manual based on that risk assessment. The when, who, why, and how to protect PHI and electronic protected health information. Now, this policy and procedures manual should be based in part on the results of the risk assessment again, and the identified weaknesses within that assessment. So when you find those weaknesses, they should be documented, and a procedure or a policy related to that risk should be put in place so that the employees know and you know what to do just in case, and also to prevent that from happening. Now we're going to get to step 5. Step 5 is just as important as all the other steps. It's employee training. Training employees is important because they really need to know what the policies and procedures are, what HIPAA even is. If you have someone new to healthcare, they may not even be aware of HIPAA. And even if they are, they need, at the very least, biannual training. It's industry standard to have annual training. And in the state of Texas, I'm going to tell you their policies are a lot more strict and stringent. Employee training annually, and it has to be specialized employee training. So if you're looking for employee training that's specifically geared towards a dentist office or a doctor's office or a nursing home or ambulance, we have that kind of training available that's specific to your job. Again, in Texas, it's actually a requirement to have specific training. So just make sure all of your employees have this annual training. Make sure that you have certificates for this training, and just keep it in a binder along with your policies and procedures, or a separate binder to keep it organized. Everyone in your organization, including interns and volunteers, depending on your organization, must have HIPAA compliance training. Now, step 6, business associates. After the high-tech and the final omnibus rule were implemented, business associates were required to adhere to HIPAA compliance rules as well. Business associates are any person or company or vendor who has access to PHI. This can be an IT vendor, this can be an attorney, it can be an accountant. It doesn't really matter. As long as they have access to this PHI, they are required to apply to HIPAA. They have to have training as well under business associates. So step 7 is do not get a penalty. Go over this again. These steps is not set in stone. The information changes, technology changes, maybe even the law may change. So to avoid a penalty, go over the steps again. It's well worth it. This is not a set it and forget it type of situation. You have to basically be very proactive when it comes to HIPAA compliance. If an auditor shows up, you want to be able to show him or her that you are prepared, that you've gone through your training, that all your employees have gone through their training. And one of the first things they may do is say, who is your privacy and security officer? I would like to speak to them. And then once that happens, you should be able to say, okay, well, I'm the privacy and security officer, or Jane is the privacy and security officer. Well, those are 7 quick steps that you can take to become HIPAA compliant, and it's very important that you do so. If you guys need training, visit us at atmydesktraining.net. We have, and click on HIPAA courses. We have them specialized in each individual category. You can also get a policy and procedures template and risk assessment for free. Thank you.